I'm Elaine. This is Elaine's XYZ, a vlog that's currently about transit layovers.
But more specifically, the 12+ hour transits in Sri Lanka, which are much more pleasant. Yes, I'm doing this from the airport right now, specifically the one in Moscow. I figure, since this is about transits, what better place to do it from than an airport? The only problem is there is no unnoisy part of an airport, so bear with me here. So I live in Asia right now, and I was going to visit a friend in Bangalore, and I found out that the cheapest flights were through Sri Lanka, but each flight seemed to have this crazy long 15-hour layover. After doing a little bit of research, I found out that it was actually an attempt to boost tourism a bit, and so I thought, well, I don't have a schedule, why not? I should try it out. And spoiler alert, it's worth trying out. The rest of the video is the steps you should take to optimize your entry into Sri Lanka and what you can do with your precious time there. First off, before you even arrive, you need to get your transit visa. It's pretty easy. You fill out information at the Sri Lankan e-visa website and should get your confirmation within 24 hours. Then just print it out and remember to bring it with you to Sri Lanka. Once you get there, the first thing to do will be to go to the airport's e-visa counter located before customs. They'll need to see that printed slip of paper and give it a stamp of approval for you to exit the building. So I had two layers, one that arrived at 5 a.m. and then one that was overnight. And for the overnight one, Sri Lankan Airlines will actually book you accommodation for free. You just need to contact them beforehand. To book it, you need to email them and reserve with your flight information and flight reservation. And well, even if they send an email saying that they've received your request for a reservation, they're not very good at sending an email confirming that your reservation has actually been made, so I recommend calling them before you arrive. At the same time, even though they didn't confirm it until I called, they did book it. As you can see, it's not the fanciest of digs, but this is free. I'm at a place called Catamaran Beach House, and it does actually connect to the beach. So we're gonna check that out too. But hopefully you get a chance to go during the day too, because you can check off a surprising amount of locations in the time that you have there. Before you leave the airport, make sure to get yourself a SIM card. It's actually one of the best deals that I've seen anywhere globally. You get 15 gigabytes of data for something like less than $10 US. It's totally worth it, especially since if you're like me, you're in Sri Lanka for the first time and Google Maps really comes in handy. A ride into the city with one of the fancier cars costs about $30 US. A small warning if you arrive really early like I did. There didn't seem to be much open in Colombo in the morning. I stuck around the airport, went through the jam of rush hour, got dropped off in the city at around 9:30, and it still took me a good amount of Googling to find anywhere where I could get a coffee. Maybe it's just because since it had started raining buckets on the way there, I'd opted to go to the museum, which doesn't open until 10, but it took a 500-meter walk around the neighborhood to find any place to sit and wait the morning out. Since we're talking about it anyway, this is one of the sights to see. And if you go at 10 on a rainy day, it's like a private museum just for you.
I made it to the National Museum, and it looks like I'm like the only person here besides the odd museum employee. I don't know if it's normally this empty or if nobody else would even care to go out into the rain today, but it's quite beautiful.
It's the largest museum in all of Sri Lanka and gives a good general overview of the history of this area and its culture, from prehistoric times to the modern day. It was opened in 1877 by Sir William Henry Gregory, known then as the British Governor of Ceylon, who, other than opening this museum, seems to be mostly known only for having a famous super literary wife. Anyhow, the museum contains a whole host of cultural artifacts like the royal regalia and swords and art and so on, as well as some cute semi-interactive exhibits like this one. What's this? Whoa.
And if you like museum hopping as much as I do, it's a lovely, calm way to spend an hour or two. Next up is the Gangaramaya Temple. Gangaramaya is the oldest Buddhist temple in Sri Lanka, set up in the 19th century, and it's known for its eclectic mix, quote-unquote, of Sri Lankan, Thai, Indian, and Chinese architecture. It not only functions as a center of worship, but also for study, with a library, a museum, and apparently a learning center offering vocational training for thousands of people. From Gangaramaya, it's a quick 5-minute walk to Beira Lake, which apparently used to serve as a moat way back in its long history, and is now a place locals love to picnic. Yeah, it's a little bit of a quiet moment. The island across the bridge is called Lovers Island, where romantic Sri Lankans will go to do their courtship things. And you can check out Sima Malakaya Temple there as well, which is a Buddhist temple overlooking the lake that's used for meditation and rest rather than worship. Seems legit. Colombo! And from there, I went to Galle.
Actually, if your layover flies out before 6 p.m., it might not be worth going to this side of Galle.
This entire stretch of road usually only becomes a fun and lively market starting at around 4 in the afternoon. Otherwise, it's just an empty stretch of concrete sandwiched between a fancy hotel to the south and some overpriced quote-unquote authentic craft doodads shops to the north. I'm a little disappointed I didn't get to see it become the street food mecca it's supposed to be, but well, you gotta leave something for the tourists who are actually sticking around, right?
For the most part, once I got into Colombo, I was walking everywhere. From the museum, it's just a 2-kilometer or 25-minute walk to Gangaramaya Temple. And then from Gangaramaya Temple, it's just another 2 kilometers to the Galle Hotel, which is one of the nicest hotels on that stretch of beach. If you're not into walking, though, or you just want to get around the city faster so you can see more stuff, then tuk-tuk is probably the way to go. One tuk-tuk drive is probably comparable to the cost of one New York City subway ride, and tuk-tuk drivers are everywhere. In fact, you might be begging for them to finally leave you alone.
It was getting past lunchtime at this point, so I gave in and took a tuk-tuk to the south side of Peta Market. That's where there's a bus going to the airport. The 187 bus from the Fort Railway Station at Peta Market leaves about every 30 minutes or whenever it fills up, and costs like 1/10 the price of a private taxi. If you're really into street markets, you can immerse yourself at Peta before you go. It's lively, got a super fun random assortment of stuff since it's basically where the residents go to buy everything, and just watch out for pickpockets. To be perfectly honest, since I wasn't sticking around, I just went to the first delicious looking food venue and got myself some snacks for the ride. These are called short eats, fried pastries of somewhat Portuguese origin. This one, potato and chicken samosa, was definitely my favorite.
A little less than 2 hours later, I was back at the airport. Perhaps because of the traffic situation, which seems to vary wildly, everyone at the airport was telling me that I needed to arrive 3 hours before my flight. But getting through immigration was actually pretty quick and simple. In fact, it only took me something like 15 minutes, which meant that I had so much time to kill. And the Colombo airport is charming, but not huge. So knowing that, you decide if you're willing to take the risk to see maybe a little more of Colombo rather than waiting it out at the airport. Anyway, that's a short intro as to why you should consider flying through Sri Lanka if you're ever in this part of the world. And if you found it useful, please like and subscribe. You can find me outside of YouTube at my website and Instagram. And see you next time doing whatever it is I happen to be doing. Oh wow, I really do look tired.